Guests who are joining us on the broadcast. With us is Mr. D.K. Dubey, Professor Himanshu Roy and Mr. Atul Kaushik. Mr. Dubey is a Supreme Court advocate and expert on the Constitution. Professor Roy chairs the Center for Political Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. And Mr. Kaushik is a former Additional Secretary of the Lok Sabha, the lower house of India's Parliament. Gentlemen, welcome to this special broadcast. We are told that the Supreme Court can at times deem provisions of the Constitution as unconstitutional. How do you explain that, be it Article 370 for instance or even Article 19(1)(f)?
Actually, when we frame the Constitution, what was the basis of the framing of the Constitution? Actually, each and every country have their own culture, their own philosophy, their own history. And without following that history, without following that culture, without following the philosophy of the country, you cannot make any document. So the document whenever was was in the living situation or the document was discussed in the Parliament or in the Constituent Assembly, as Professor Roy said already. Constitution framed on the basis of the public policy of the country. That is why if any amendment in the Constitution or any provision of the Constitution goes against the public policy of the country, then the Supreme Court will say that because it is against the public policy of the country, that is why the constitutional provisions may also be declared as unconstitutional. Because we made a constitutional provision, and on the basis of these public policies, Supreme Court said that basic structure of the Constitution, they have given the philosophy of basic structure of the Constitution in Kesavananda Bharati judgment. So basic structure of the Constitution is followed from the public policy. That is why if the public policy will not be followed by any amendment or by any provision, then that provision may be declared unconstitutional at the time when the Parliament go for the amendment or will go for the change.
Yeah, can I add here one point, interesting point that he has brought out regarding the basic structure. What subsequently was termed as basic structure in the judgment of the Supreme Court, it was never defined or it was never designated as the basic structure, but subsequently it was called as basic structure. Just an additional minor point here.
Mr. Dubey, coming to you now, I have two clarifications to ask of you, doubts if you can call it that. One, it was decided way back in 1940 that India needs a constitution, but why did it take 6 years for us to get there, number one? Number two, the debate itself ended, I'm told, and correct me if I'm wrong, on 17th October 1949. So why was it adopted after a 1-month delay on 26th of November?
Actually, in 1940 we demanded, there was the demand of our country to give constitution for ourselves. But after in World War, they have decided that we will make the constitution ourselves. When they decided from the commission's report, commission came in India, from that time we established the committees first. So these committees basically started how to frame, how to work, and whatever was the procedure to frame the constitution. And then on 9th of December 1946, we established that. The second question is very important because in the starting, when B.N. Rao was the constitutional constitutional advisor, we decided to frame the constitution, one constitution for the Union of India and the constitutions for the states. So a lot of states, like 3 or 4 states, framed their Constituent Assembly also. Then Sardar Patel said, no, if the states will frame their own constitution, it will take a lot of time and there may be a lot of discrepancies. That is why M.K. Velodi committee was established to frame the model constitution. When the model constitution was framed, they have supplied to the states, but there was approximately 600 states with whom we will negotiate how we will frame the constitution. That is why first of all we unionized the states, and the number of unionization was 8. So first we frame the constitution in the Constituent Assembly, then first we send it these constitution to these unions. Then the unions adopted the constitution first, like by the declaration, like the Jammu and Kashmir declared, and other states, Bhopal and other unions declared. When all these states unions make the declaration that we are adopting this constitution, then constitution came back to the parliament again, Constituent Assembly. And Constituent Assembly on the 26th of November 1949 adopted it on the last stage. That is why there was the time from October to November, because the constitution has sent it to the states.
Right.
States adopted this, they declared that we are adopting it, then sent back to the parliament, sent back to the Constituent Assembly, and Constituent Assembly adopted it. That is why there was that time gap.
Fascinating indeed. We have time to leave it at that. May I thank all our guests, Mr. D.K. Dubey, Professor Himanshu Rao, and Mr. Atul Kaushik, for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.